Hi everyone, welcome back to the Gypsy Caravan. I'm Shan. How you doing? As you can see by the title of today's video, I'm going to show you how to cut a crease, how to do a cut crease. I'm going to talk you through the technique or the tips and tricks that I use to get my cut crease pretty much decent or halfway perfect every single time, and just the general know-how, brush techniques, the types of brushes that you may need, and just how to do a cut crease. So this is the style of cut crease that I did today. Obviously I do explain in the video the different types of cut crease designs that you can do or that you get. However, the way in which you cut a crease is pretty much substandard. Whether you're going from a half cut crease to a full cut crease, the way in which you do it is pretty much the same way. It's pretty much the same way every single time. So that's what I'm going to be showing you today. So let's get straight into the video. Okay, so for some people it depends on which way you go. And let me explain. So some makeup artists like to go from like using a very dark eyeshadow and then blending it out with lighter colors, and other makeup artists like moi like to start with the lighter colors and then come down to a darker color. So which way you do it, how we cut the crease at the end of the day is the exact same way. I really just want to speed through obviously like the dimension of the cut crease, because essentially the cut crease all comes in after the crease is done, imagine. Alrighty, so now we have finally reached the place where we can actually now start learning how to cut a crease. Essentially, you want to get your build up going. You want to get all your crease colors down, you want to get your crease shape in, you want to get all of this done first before we cut a crease. Lots of different artists will use different mediums to cut their crease. A lot of makeup brands provide specific products that are there to cut creases. Like Makeup Revolution specifically has something very similar to a concealer, which is called cut crease canvas or crease canvas or something like that. That is specifically a product that was designed for cut creases. A lot of artists will use paint pots or cream eyeshadow bases. A lot of artists will use concealer. I really like concealer, especially if it's a very milky white concealer. So normally for the people who are super fair or have no color in their skin, their concealers work, I find, best for me. There's a trend going around of people using makeup remover. That's fine if you can manage to clean up the eye correctly, because if you leave that sort of product on your eye, nothing is going to stick to your eye after that. So I don't really like to use that. People use makeup remover wipes. Again, it's got makeup remover on it. I'm not really a fan of that. Some people use Vaseline. Again, that's cool if you can get it all off your eye. So I tend to stay away from things like that. I would rather use a makeup product instead, that I know is going to stick and last and create longevity in the way of my lid colors that are now going to be applied. You want to use a tool or a brush that is quite dense and quite flat. So personally for me, what I've been enjoying is the JH41 from the Jaclyn Hill Morphe Master Eye Brush Collection. A 242 from MAC is quite good to use. So any sort of flat brush like that is quite nice because of the edge. It's nice to get up into that crease, and because it's a dense flat brush, it's going to apply the product on evenly. I'm going to use a concealer today. I'm just going to use my Studio Fix one for today. This concealer is in my shade, which is NW24. My favorite shade to use to actually cut a crease would be around an NW15, NW20, just because those are the fairest shades that you can get specifically from MAC. but anything that has a very milky base, if you're a very fair skinned person going onto a medium skinned person, that just tends to work for me. You can use this sort of thing for your darker, more ebony skin tones. It will just make everything on the eye pop a little bit more. Technique, or the way that I cut my crease, may not be for every single person out there, but it tends to be the easiest or the norm, just to make cutting the crease a little bit more defined and easier to detect. And the reason for this is just because we all have different kinds of eye shapes. Like, I have a very sad turned down eye, but I have a hooded lid. Generally hooded eyes tend to be a huge problem, but there are ways to work around them. Some people have a very deep set or very sunken in crease, so this sort of technique won't work for them because their lid area here doesn't actually touch their lid. So their eyes are so easy to cut because you can literally see where their mobility lid ends. So it's easy for them to do. Another thing you can do if you battle with my technique is you can take your brush and put some concealer on, or your cut crease canvas, or whatever it is that you are using. Keep your eyes open, look directly into the mirror, and wherever that lid ends, so you can see mine ends there, then you can just map out and cut where you need to. That is going to require a little bit more of a skillful, steady hand, but it can be done. So I'm going to show you my way. If it doesn't work for you, you can use the other methods that I've mentioned, but this generally tends to be my go-to for a lot of eye shapes because it just tends to work for me. So I'm going to just scrape off as much as I can off the actual doe foot applicator. I don't want too much. It's easier to build up than to try and pull off the amount that you've got on your eye. So always just scrape off. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a little bit in the center here along the lash line. You can do the full lid if you want, or just in the center, and map out after that, but just make sure you get some quite close to the lash line. And then what you are going to do is you are going to roll your eyes back into your head as far as you can go, so that you have transfer. So that is where my lid ends. So I know if I have anything lower than that crease, it's going to transfer on my lid. So I want to make sure that I build up everything around the perimeter. So now I know this is the finish line for my crease. So anything that I apply in this area needs to be quite light. So if I want to do glitters and stuff, then I know this is the area I can stay in so that it doesn't transfer up into my crease. So now you can start to fill in with a little bit of concealer and cut that crease out. So pat it along and pull that color right up to that crease area there. And the reason why I roll my eyes back, because that is the furthest point that my eye will go if I have to look up. For whatever reason, or if I have to roll my eyes at a man again, then that's where I know my eye will stop. And that is the ending point for transfer. So I know this is the area where I can keep everything, where it won't transfer into my crease and my crease won't transfer into my lid. And then I'm also going to just cut the wing as well, because I want an open wing today. So I'm just going to create a little wingy thing for myself here. And just cut that wing away. So technically my crease ends there, but with the mobility of my lid, it actually ends there where I've cut the crease. So that's just something to think about in terms of transfer, like I spoke about earlier. I don't even actually know what I was talking about, so it's fine. I'm just going to cut this side and then we'll come back to finishing off the look. Okay, so now that we have cut our crease, I've also just cleaned up the edges here because they were looking a little bit messy. So it's now at this point that you can either put a matte eyeshadow down on your lid, or you can go in with a subtle shimmer or a glitter or whatever your heart desires. That can now go on the lid. The shimmer that I'm going to go in with is this UV pinky purple vibe at the top. It's called I'm Into It. And again, you just want to use whatever lid brush that you have. Your crease is now technically cut, so whatever eyeshadow you put on, it's going to stay in this lid area, because this little border that we've created for ourselves is not only a guideline for where to apply what, it tends to stick, especially if you've used a concealer, the eyeshadow or the glitter in this area, so it's not going to go over that line, if that makes any sense whatsoever. I'm just going to push this in onto the lid. I'm using the same brush just because of all the flat edges that it has to offer, and it just makes it easier to take it right up to that perimeter. There are so many different styles or designs one can do for a cut crease. You just need to do some research and find a style or a design that you like, but the principle of cutting the crease will always be the same. Just cut the area open. Okay, so we're just going to move on with the rest of the look. So normally after I cut my crease, just depending on how bad my judgment was, I normally like to go back over my crease with a darker shade just to intensify it and make it look really pop against the lid color. So I'm going to go in with a small angle brush. This is a 208 from MAC. Just going back in with my palette, I'm going to go in with a little bit of this Stay True again, and I'm going to probably go in with a much darker shade, just depending on how I feel. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pretty much sketch out the area where I cut my crease. Just like that. Look how much better that already looks, because now it stands out against that lid color. So now I'm going to go in with 217, no additional product, and I'm just going to very, very carefully blend out, or just blend down the harshness of that line a tiny bit. I'm going to do the other side quickly, and then we can finish the lid space. So this is pretty much the finished look of the style of cut crease that I decided to do for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. I hope you learned something new, or if that's the way you were doing cut creases before, good on you. It's a style I learned from someone else on social media, and also something I've witnessed a makeup artist on my counter doing when I was still working for MAC, and have been using this technique ever since. It's a game changer, I feel. So thank you so much for watching my tutorial today. I hope you had fun watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, like this video, and drop a comment down if you want to suggest or request a makeup look, or just in general make a suggestion of any other videos that you would like to see here on my channel. Soup's open for that. Until then, have a great day further, and I will see you in my next tutorial. Bye!